Hi everybody. The weather is improving rapidly here. Um, Still a little hot for my French blood, but it's a lot nicer than it's been. We got another 3 to 4 inches of rain in like a 20-minute thing. Of course, it flooded the backyard out. It's not too bad today, but again, some of the houses down in Detroit, and I'm assuming Dearborn again got flooded. The companies are saying, oh, this is unprecedented. Well, it's happened 3 or 4 times already in the last couple of months. So let's face reality and deal with the facts on the ground, which is now Detroit, Michigan has 4-inch rainfalls in 20 minutes, okay? Yeah, we need to change how things are going. As Consuelo told you all last night, our dear friends are okay in NOLA, the last I've heard. So I knew they would be. I know a couple people lost their lives there. And I don't know how long they're going to be without power. NOLA is, it was too great to go on forever, right? All the best places get taken over. I mean, Naomi Klein talked about that in her book about disaster capitalism, The Shock Doctrine. If y'all haven't checked that out, I think, she talks about Katrina, and I think exactly what happened after Katrina is what's going to happen again, and they're going to hollow out the city some more, the fucking capitalists and people that, yeah. Anyway, so, didn't Andrea Dworkin write a book called Heartbreak? I feel a little heartbroken today. Sorry to vague blog, but let me just speak about some stuff really generally for a little bit. Okay, so I believe that all women are on, different paths. We all have our different ways of being in the world based on our early life experiences or based on our fucking DNA. Based on what happens to us later, based on what we need to do to survive. I think all of us are on our own paths, and I deeply respect that. And I always tell Consuelo, like, my biggest nightmare is a world full of me's. Blah! A world full of jonquils. Like, that would be a fucking nightmare. But so that's just to say, I don't expect or even really want everybody to agree with, I guess, my approach. And Consuelo and I we talk a lot. Lesbians, we're always talking all the time, we're always processing. We talk a lot, and I think that just over the years, I think it's kind of natural that you kind of grow together in a lot of your beliefs. Like, I come around to her way of things on some stuff, and although it pains me, yeah, babe, you were right, and she'll come around to my way on stuff. But so I feel, what I'm trying to say is, I feel okay speaking for her just on this particular issue because we have discussed it so much. Stop me if I'm wrong, honey. Look for her in the comments to tell me I'm wrong. But all women have, their different ways of being in the world, and we all have different ways with dealing with this. Did you hear that? That one of the fucking Bernice, she starts almost crowing. We all have our different ways of solving problems and what we think is going to get women farther in the world, and how we're going to get there, and what methods and strategies we need to employ to do it. Consuelo and I used to be extremely politically active. We were always at protests. We were always, we were phone banking. We were door-to-dooring for our candidates, etc. I'm not going to go into all that, but a lot. I mean, since I was in college, I marched for choice in college. And here we are. That was like 30, 40 years ago, okay? Wow. Like, and here we are again, almost 40 years ago, yeah, not quite. And here we are again at the precipice, and it's worse than it was before because of the backlash. So what I have taken out of that experience of a lifetime, and I think what Consuelo has too, is that working, it's what Audrey always fucking said, master's tools, right? Working within this system is never going to tear down the system. And if I could get a little bit geeky movie reference on y'all for a minute. Okay, in the Matrix, I know about the brothers. I'm aware. Okay, but this is before that. In the Matrix, and this isn't the only place where you've heard this story. Neo is speaking to the architect, and he's in that little room with them, and the architect's showing him tape after tape after tape of Neo having been there before and gone around this cycle. And he kind of refers to him as the remainder. And the system itself has a way of dealing with these remainders, which is us radicals, and almost disarming our efforts so that they only feed the system some more. For example, I believe that's what Extinction Rebellion is. I believe, sorry Derek, that's what DGR is. I don't think that anyone who... I don't think those organizations are ever going to be able to usurp or damage the system in any real way. Maybe because they're organizations. Like, we always call ourselves a house full of unruly girls and cats and chickens here, you know? And I think the unruliness is what's important, and that's our strength as women. That's why the witches were hanged, right? They were the unruly women. And I guess that's what I strive to be. Unmanageable, unpredictable, and staying away from those systems. I mean, we know, like, shit, obvious examples. Sierra Club, Bill McKibben's 350.org, all of those are only there to take especially young person's energy, in my opinion, and disperse it in a way that will never threaten the status quo, which is, you know, I don't know why, but I've known about, I'm going to talk about collapse now, so sorry if that upsets you. You might want to click off here, but I've known about the collapse. You know, if I'm honest, back in elementary school, when they used to show us the population, you know, I think at the time that I was young in the 70s, I think it was like 3 billion. And you could see this exponential graph. What's that Professor Albert, what's his face? So he's got a YouTube video about the exponential function that I strongly suggest everyone watch. I'll put a link to it. But who was it that said humans' failure to understand that exponential function is what's going to basically be our downfall? Anyway, I agree. But for some reason, some quirk of believing what's in front of my face, I believe it. I believe that we can't keep going on like this. Not only for, obviously, the population ridiculousness. Us and our livestock take up almost all of the Earth's surface now. That's not good. And, you know, the biosphere, the biodiversity destruction and genocide going on, the pollution, the oceans acidifying. Who knows what the Atlantic Meridional overturning, the AMOC is going to do? Is it going to start turning backwards? The very jet stream, depending on the day, it's looking a little squirrely. And obviously we're going to lose the Arctic sea ice cap very soon. You know, I don't have to outline all of these to you, but for me, one of my favorites to watch is always the infrastructure breakdown, that our way of life can't continue because it's dependent on infrastructure that was like a one-time shot in the 50s, and it can't be maintained. There's just not enough raw materials left. And I also, the levels of carbon dioxide and pollution are poisoning people and animals and new babies, and I think that as that goes on, we'll become less and less able to deal with the problems at hand. And, you know, the unprecedented weather events, I said I wasn't going to go on, and yet here I am. Anyway, given all of that, I do not think that BAU, or business as usual, will continue, thankfully, for very much longer. I think in parts of the country, as much as people in Tahoe want to go to the beach and just wear a fucking mask, it's not normal, and you can't be out in that air every day. What was I reading yesterday? Just humans, they have this amazing ability to normalize any fucking set of circumstances and just try and go on as you were before. Well, that was our mistake, right? The pandemic was our last shot to like change everything and degrow really quick and get local, which I've been begging everyone to do forever, and no one will. And people better than me have tried before me and also failed. But we're going to get there now, and it's not going to be a fun ride. So for me and Consuelo, doing that in our own lives to try and build up our local community. Of course, there are many women I'm in touch with via the web and long distance and stuff, and that means everything to me too. Just from a psychological standpoint, and I want to know what's going on in other places, but just from a practical staying alive standpoint, we've localized a lot. But I don't get, it's hard to find crazy people like us nearby, so I guess that's where the distant contacts come in. So it behooves us, knowing all of this, knowing that time is very short, to live well. And by that I do not mean flying off to fucking Disney World every year, or popping out children because you want them. I'm talking about, and again, these are my opinions, so living well, meaning as lightly as us people in this previously first world can, and in line with a longer view of the future. And I think it's important, and I'm not saying any of this makes a difference from the wider lens. Like I say, it's too late. This can't be stopped. But for me to get on an airplane right now would be it's inconceivable, because I know what that carbon load is. I know what I'm doing. I know that I'm just burning it even faster. And if people want to fly, go ahead and fly. But I guess every person has to answer this for themselves. What do I need to do to turn my life towards to live in the truest way possible to my own moral code? And I think humans are women are more than capable of developing our own moral code and carrying that out. And if that means that you join DGR and gum up a pipeline, more power to you. I'm all for it. I do not feel it is in the best use of the remainder of my time here to spend any time in a man's prison. And so I will do all that I can do to prevent that. I also don't think it stops what's going to happen. To me, leaving behind what we can, if anything can be left behind, is the highest moral good. And just living truthfully and staying outside of any organization that would try to take my unruly efforts and channel them towards something that I believe only maintains the system longer. I always say, if all women banded together, patriarchy would end tomorrow. And that, business as usual, if we all band together, could end tomorrow. We tried not paying our mortgage for over a year and hoping that everyone else would stop. but it didn't happen. Now I hear there's a debt strike or a general strike, I guess a general strike going on. I want to say October 15th. And okay, awesome. I'm down for that. Let's all do that. But it's not going to be solved by doing that in a day. People need to stop. I need to stop participating in the system. So that's basically what I've done here. And to our financial, disadvantage. I've worked since third grade, and seriously, and to be like not in the official labor force right now, it's very, very foreign to my how I am in the world. Usually, it's very strange, but I'm trying to manage it and to put my efforts towards things that will help rather than continue to tear down as quickly as possible the system. So that's where we're at. That's why we don't participate in any organized political activities anymore. But I want to reiterate, if you do, and if you're young, I hope you're not as cynical and hopeless as I am. I would be sad for you if you didn't believe differently. And I'm glad that you believe differently. If I can impart any of my experience to you and that helps get you to a place that's better for you, or if it just makes you double down and say, she's wrong and I'm going to prove me wrong. Dude, girls, prove me wrong, please. I'm begging you. Prove me wrong. Show me that it can work. But fight the backlash. Always fight the power. And stay unruly, girls. Bye, everybody.